There you go, we finally included the walking through the forest shot that every bushcraft video ever has. We never usually do them in our videos because all I can think of when I see them in other videos is, I wonder how long it's going to take before they turn around to retrieve the camera. I imagine them doing a little jog back to the camera, you know, check out the footage. Oh no, it's blurry. Oh, I've got to do it again. I like to imagine that they've done that same cut like 3 or 4 times just trying to get it perfect, of them just walking through a forest. Talk about taking 1 step forward, 2 steps back, am I right? Anyway, so what are we doing here today? We're doing the 30-pound bug out bag challenge, the one set by Mark a good amount of time ago. I'll post the link up there or in the description below. Essentially, the idea behind the challenge was to prove to newbies or anyone wanting to start out prepping that it doesn't have to be massively costly to start out with. Obviously, it does get a bit more expensive as you go on. You'll sooner or later be tempted by more expensive stuff because you'll want to upgrade, basically. But starting out doesn't have to break the bank. So I bought a bunch of things that equaled to no more than £30. I think I was like 10p off, something like that. I haven't got the receipts or anything like that, you'll just have to trust me. I've also got a few things that I picked up from around the house as well, purely because I don't want to encourage newbie preppers to think that they have to purchase everything brand new. Stuff from around the house can be used perfectly well. I've genuinely spoken to people that have watched like YouTube videos and survival TV shows where and they've actually been put off because they think that it's too expensive of a hobby for them to actually start doing. Prepping isn't about having all this fancy new stuff that you just pack away into a bag and then never use or practice with. It's about gaining skills and you know, amassing equipment you need in order to survive. Whether you're just like a survival enthusiast that enjoys coming out, or a genuine prepper that thinks that an SHTF scenario will happen eventually. I mean, we're in one right now. We're in a pandemic. That's literally one of the SHTF scenarios. So anyway, yeah, like I was saying, bringing in your own stuff helps bolster your bag as well as not breaking the bank. So you get that feeling of satisfaction of having like a nice full bag without actually having to spend massive amounts of money, you know? Not only is the challenge quite fun to try and make up a bug out bag with only a small amount of money, but it is a genuinely good way for a newbie to start prepping if they want to. Alrighty then, so I'm here next to the shelter that I built in an earlier video. You might have seen it in a couple of other videos. The reason why I came out here is I wanted to show that having shelter for the night, for if you do want to bug out, doesn't have to cost any money. This didn't cost me any money. Obviously, the tools I use cost money, but I've accounted for them in the bug out bag. This didn't take any cordage. All it took was a saw, a shovel, and my own hands, essentially, and a little bit of a use of an axe as well, but not even that much. Like, this can actually account for saving money for your bug out bag, because you'll be making your own shelter rather than buying a big tent or buying a hammock or, you know, or a tarp or whatever, anything like that. Obviously those are ideal things to have, but if you're trying to save money and in a survival situation, building a shelter is probably one of the best ways to go. It's also a very good example of what is most needed in a bug out. A lot of people can get lost in just purchasing a bug out bag and then just thinking, right, that's the apocalypse sorted, I'm done now, right, what's for dinner? It shows that skills and effort is what is most needed if you plan to ever bug out. Alright, so I think it's high time that I actually showed you the bag. This is it on the outside. It's a trespass fold-away bag. In Mark's video he had like a Poundland, like £1 fold-away bag, which, as I recall, fell apart quite quickly. So I actually spent £10, it was on offer, this thing, spent £10 on this because I thought that, you know, carrying all of your stuff, it's worth investing money in. Remember that when you're purchasing your own bug out bag, don't just buy a cheap one from Wish. So Poundland is good for a lot of things. I know I just gave a bad example there, but you can get tarps in there for £1. The loops aren't fantastic, they are kind of weak. well, weaker than what you would expect from a tarp, but as long as you use it correctly, then it should last you a good long while. And also, when you're building your shelter, if you want to make sure that it is actually airtight, then putting a tarp over the supporting sticks up here, and then putting all your moss and all that on top of it, just makes certain that it's watertight, so you're not going to get rained on. So definitely good having a tarp, and for £1, why not? Here's a blanket which I brought from home. You might have noticed, but I didn't have a sleeping bag, so obviously you're going to need warmth, so having a blanket would do very well. I did think about bringing a sleeping bag and just saying, oh well, I have it lying around the house because I go to a lot of festivals, and thus I already own a sleeping bag. But I'm just thinking, if anyone doesn't own a sleeping bag, they're going to have a blanket. Everyone's got blankets. Surely? Everyone has blankets, right? Yeah, let's just go with that. Okay, my main cooking utensil. I knocked Wish also earlier, so I've knocked Poundland and Wish, but I've also brought things from both of them. I got this for £3. It has seen some use already because I wanted to practice with it to make sure that it didn't melt. It didn't, thank God. Yeah, Wish for small things like this, non-electrical stuff, it can be perfectly fine. But I will say, do check eBay and everywhere else first, because sometimes Wish might seem like it's a good deal, but you can get it for cheaper elsewhere. And faster shipping too. I got this here. It's like a tiny little first aid kit. First aid, there's not really too much stuff included. So we've got large plasters and then an assortment, 100 other plasters. Didn't want to get much else because this sort of bug out, I don't really expect to get like thoroughly cut through the hands. But now that I've said that, I probably will. I also got this. Superglue is great for a first aid kit to seal cuts and wounds. And along with my plasters here, any small cuts I get should be pretty much sorted. Lighters, £1 from Poundland. In terms of fire starting and fire making, probably the best thing you could have, like the easiest thing to use. Of course, they're not the most ideal for a long-term bug out because they're only finite. They will run out eventually. And certainly a lot quicker than probably a lot of your other fire starting things. But for a new bug out bag, for a newbie, getting a bunch of lighters is definitely a good thing. As you can see here, I got all of these bungees. They all came in one pot for £1 from Poundland. Can you believe it? I got those mainly to put up this tarp, just as a meager form of shelter, and also in terms of survival, it's good to have a tarp, have it above your fire while you're boiling water, and the steam that comes from the water when you boil it, it will catch onto the tarp, and then if you funnel it down into your bottle, then you'll get purified water. So we're next to a water source, so if I was to go over and get water, I could purify it that way. Speaking of the bottle, this is just another one of those brought from home things, and to be fair, it did come free with my EDC bag, so like it is, even though it's like a plastic bottle and it's quite decent, it is just a freebie anyway, so I didn't account that. I put that into the brought pile, not the bought pile. What we have here now is petroleum jelly, and what you can do with that is cover dryer lint or cotton wool or anything like that, and essentially it will make the dryer lint or the cotton wool burn really slowly but really well at the same time. Obviously the dryer lint, you can get that anytime you use your dryer if you've got one, and petroleum jelly, not too expensive. So it's important for every survivalist to have a knife. They can range from quite cheap to very expensive. For this one, I just went with a knife that I plucked out from my kitchen, and I had this little plastic thing that I just put over it here. In this sort of bug out bag where I'm going on the cheap, this sort of knife would do pretty well, just for fraying and feathering wood, just to aid in starting a fire really. The actual real tool that I brought along with me, well, I paid £5 for it, but you've probably seen it in other videos. Is my folding saw right here. Just got this at garden centre I should say, and this thing is absolutely essential for taking down any sort of dead wood and like processing it and cutting it up ready for your fire. There's no axe included in this bag, obviously because of the cost restriction, but you can sort of survive without the axe, even though it does make it a hell of a lot easier. And lastly, we've got our food. Got this from Tesco, and don't know if I can show the label there, but everyone knows what it is. I also got this here as well, nice long-term sort of food here that would survive a long time. And yeah, that's pretty much it. So I'm going to splay all of this out on the mat here. So I think going beyond the £30 limit, what I would think about first is getting more food, because the idea behind a bag out bag is 72-hour survival, like initial survival time. Anything longer than that, and you're more looking into like inch bag territory, inch standing for I'm never coming home. After getting food, I would think about getting an axe for sure, and then a proper bushcraft knife as well. And then I would think a bit more about the sleeping arrangements, so that's when I would start thinking about whether I want a tent or a hammock. Honestly, it can depend on the person, so you might think that you like the idea of a hammock, but then try it, and then you might hate it. My personal sleeping arrangement would be, and is, a 4-season sleeping bag in a bivvy sack in a hammock, with a tent as backup, but all of that stuff can come later. This really is just a good starting off point, and even if you did just want to go out and get like £30 worth of stuff pretty much exactly like this or something similar, you could go out into a forest and just do a bit of a wild camp, get a feel for it, and decide if it's for you or not, because everything here, even though it's not like the easiest way of doing things, it is a nice budget way of getting out there and actually getting a feel for it. Because I find that a lot of people, they talk the talk but they don't walk the walk, if you know what I mean. They'll say stuff like, oh, I've always wanted to go out there and do it, but then like they just never do it. I mean, it's the easiest thing in the world to just find a forest and go to it. I mean, all you have to do is just go into a forest and have a sit down, pretty much exactly what I'm doing right now. The advanced stuff like building shelters can come later. Okay, so what I'm going to do now is I'm going to build a fire and cook some food. I think I'm just going to have this for today, or right now, and yeah, let's get this started. Okay, so that's the fire lit with only dry lint and petroleum jelly. So it proves that it can be done. Just going to wait for this to go down to embers a little bit, and then I'm going to start cooking my food here. It is producing a little bit of smoke, so I'm a little tiny bit worried that someone is going to see it and think that the forest is burning down, but hopefully they won't. So what I'm using obviously is my mess tin here. Little dirt on the inside, but a little dirt won't kill you, especially if you're in a survival situation. What I was going to do was boil the water and have this like sat inside of it, so the water would be boiling while this would be heating up. Obviously it would be hot taking it off, but like, you know, if you've got gloves, or just, you know, slip your sleeve down your hand and like pick it up like that, as long as you get it onto the floor for it to cool down enough so that you can start eating it from inside the tin, then it's good enough. But yeah, the idea behind that is like the boiling water would help cook it faster, as well as then you would have boiling water, so you could have coffee or tea, whatever you got. But I didn't bring any coffee or tea with me, so instead I'm just going to pour this straight in here, and I'll just clean it whenever I get home. The idea, the best thing to do with these mess tins is to boil water and have food in like a bag, like an MRE style, or even my rice bag here. Like just have it in the bag and boil it like that, but in this case, nah, I fancy this, so that's what I'm going to do. I forgot to bring out a fork with me, so on the drive up here, I actually remembered, and I stopped into a service station and picked up a plastic fork. Improvise, adapt, overcome. Meal of champions. Needless to say, quite a lot of smoke got in my eyes. Alrighty, this looks good to go here. Whew. Are my eyes red? Wouldn't be surprised if they are. I know they're watering. But here we go. Got my piping hot food here. Beautiful. So satisfying having a nice meal cooked on a fire that you've made yourself, you know. It's really good. Really good. Living the hobo life. Whoa, that smoke keeps getting in my eyes. Well, anyway, I'll get back to you after I finish enjoying my meal here. Well, now that was marvellous. I thoroughly enjoyed that. I've just chucked some water over the fire here. This ain't no gender reveal party. I'm not going to let this forest burn down. So there we go. That's the 30-pound bug out bag challenge right there. And I challenge anyone else who is watching this video to try it themselves. It's a bit of fun, it doesn't cost too much, and if you're a newbie, if you're just getting into prepping or you want to get into prepping, then it's a good jumping off point. What can I say? Alrighty, well, thank you very much for watching, especially all the way up until the end. Please hit the subscribe button if you liked the video and like the channel and want to support us. Like the video too, please. Maybe even add it to your favourites, who knows? Yeah. Click the bell as well, all of that good stuff. We've got a Discord link down below as well. Alrighty, well thank you very much again for watching, and please tune into our future videos. Thank you very much. See you again. Bye bye.